Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Frenemy Breakdown. Good to have you back on the channel, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. We got a good one for this week.
We certainly do. This is footage submitted by Tristan. Tristan is from Quebec, and this is a crit. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of it, but this is a criterium. It is a Masters A category, so like P1, 2 Masters, category 1, 2, 3 Masters. Also open to the Elite 3s, so fast boys, right?
Yeah, it was a quick one. I think I think there's a lot of awesome things to talk through this week, and I say let's just get into it.
All right, Brian, we are halfway through this race, and we haven't even talked about Tristan's plan, his goals, his team, the competition, the course, anything like that. So let's quickly get that out of the way. Tristan is on Team iBike. Tristan is their protected sprinter. The whole team is focused on getting Tristan as fresh as possible to 200 meters to go so he can uncork his massive sprint numbers that he's capable of. And the reason they have to save as much energy as possible is because Tristan has some very serious competition. A number of teams we could talk about, but most notably, the national champion of Canada is here. The 35-plus national champion of crit racing is here. So Tristan's got to remain as fresh as possible in order to go toe-to-toe against the best sprinter, 35-plus sprinter in the country. In order to do that, he's got a tail gun, right? That's the best way in this situation. Brian, tell him what tail gunning is.
Yeah, well, tail gunning is hanging out at the back of the pack, but it's not just that. It's about choosing the choice lines that you get to pick rather than are dictated to you like in the group. And it's all about making sure that you can preserve your momentum. So something like you would see at the front of a pack where you get to pick your line and you don't have to sprint out of a corner. That's really what tail gunning is about. And the way I always kind of validated this for myself was if I'm sprinting out of the corner, I'm probably not doing tail gunning properly. And it's really about making sure that, like I said, you hold speed going in. And so when you're going into a corner like this and you're doing 0 watts going in, you got to be thinking, hey, I better pick up a couple, bike lengths so that I don't have to do 1,000 watts on the exit, because as a sprinter, man, 1,000 watts, that comes back to bite you in the last 200 meters.
Yeah, what do we say? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and that goes double for tail gunning. That's the whole benefit of tail gunning, is you can keep a smooth, fast, conserve momentum line through the corners. And the drawback is you're not paying attention to what's going on at the front of the race. But in this case, that's okay because he has teammates who are responsible for that. They're supposed to be looking up the road and making sure there isn't a breakaway. Spoiler alert, there is a breakaway. So they should be on the front chasing for him right now. And he's moving up the inside here, but again, 0 watts, 0 watts, 0 watts. And then he's back up to like almost 1,000 watts, over 900 watts. This is not what tail gunning is supposed to look like. And as a result, you can see his heart rate's 189 beats per minute already, and there's 12K left in this race. I worry how it's going to look for them in the sprint finish. Should we fast forward and check it out?
Yeah, let's watch it.
Okay, so that brings us into 2 laps to go. We just passed 2 laps to go, and Tristan's hitting the panic button. He's passing on the outside here because, I mean, what do you think, Brian? It's 2.5 kilometers to go, and he's like 35th wheel with no teammates around him. This wasn't the plan, right?
I mean, I don't think this was his plan. It doesn't make sense to be back in the scrum coming into 1.5 laps to go. There is still that breakaway off the front, and I would think you would want to have your whole team on the front trying to bring that back and keep you protected. Instead, he's still back here, coasting into the corners and sprinting out of them. And again, that's not a good sign coming into this last straightaway here. That is just every lap up to this point has been wicked fast and usually includes some type of big sprint to get going on it.
Yeah, these dudes are going fast. I mean, this is into a headwind and they're still over 30 miles an hour. This is when it's really important that you're surrounded by your teammates. We're inside of 2 kilometers to go right now. If the whole idea is to get Tristan sheltered in the draft and then launched out of a cannon with 200 meters to go, I don't see that right now. They need to be organized. I think there's 4 or 5 people on iBike in this race. So they really need to be organized, and this is not what you want to see as a sprinter. Is like battling, right? Is like doing all these little micro sprints, going from 0 to 1,000 watts constantly, because that just absolutely saps the energy from your legs. And if you want to be really snappy at the end of this race, you can't be doing 800 watts, 950, 1,000 watts out of this corner. But at least he's found I think this is his teammate in front of him now, right? Yeah, this is his teammate.
Yeah.
And, in Tristan's notes, he was like, I was confused about the laps. And we're like, dude, that's on you. But in fairness, they were holding up 5 laps to go when it was 1 lap to go. So there was some confusion from the promoter, the officials. But still, you got to be keeping track of what's going on. Even if they're holding up the wrong lap card when it's 1 to go, you should know based on coming into this moment with 1 lap to go where you're at. But now, like, where does teammate go, right? Where are all of his teammates? I don't see any of them, and we're inside of 1 kilometer. Brian, like, this is looking so messy to me. If their plan was to lead Tristan out, they're not executing.
I mean, this is like when bad things happen, right? Because you're scrambling and everyone you're around is also scrambling, right? And because you're just in the scrum of it. And, to be honest, like even beyond like 30th place, you're like 50 meters behind the front of the pack. It's like, where are you going to find 50 meters with 600 meters to go? Well, you find your teammate.
Here's his teammate to help him. The guy's smashing, dude. Look at these. These are like track watts right here. The guy's seated, absolutely smashing into this headwind. And these are some big numbers. Like we're up, at 34 miles an hour. He's going to go even faster into this headwind. And there's going to be a decision here in a moment because he is passing. There's the elbow flick. And I think this is the right move, right? Tristan makes the right move in order just to continue his speed, even though there's still there's over 300 meters by the time he started his sprint. Conserve your speed. But what is this final corner, Brian? Protect the inside. We talk about this all the time. This is exactly why he gets undertaken on the inside by this rider. And then guess who it is in the red jersey, the national champion, showing him what 1,500 watts looks like with the fist pump. Wait a second. That was for 4th, wasn't it?
I think so. I mean, but still, masterclass from the national champ. How you come underneath with all of that speed. Props to Tristan for carrying momentum off the lead out, but you kind of lost all of it by taking a wide line, like 5 meters too wide.
Poor Tristan. Poor Tristan
he's just like, I'm going home.
Yeah,
I'm going home.
That's enough bike racing for me. Just exits course. But big power numbers. I really love how he executed. Coming out of his teammates' draft and then just stepping on it, conserving that speed. Because if you go back to that moment, if we look at that really important moment one more time, in this instant, he had a decision to make. If he were to try to slot in, first of all, they were not going to let him slot in. If their crit racers are worth their salt, you do not let people slot in with 350 meters to go. But even if they do, Tristan was going to have to use brakes, stop pedaling. All of these things are really bad ideas in the final 400 meters of a crit. So I think this was the perfect move just to lay on the gas, start the sprint a little earlier than you wanted to. But hey guys, it's a race for the final corner. In particular, it's a race for the final apex of the final corner. And that's where Tristan dropped the ball. Granted, it was for 4th place anyway. They kind of, as a team, they dropped the ball in order not to control the race. But hey, once he puts the rest of that together, I feel like special things are going to happen. And don't forget, guys, if you have footage, check out the link in the description. Takes you 5 minutes to upload your footage, and we'd love to break it down here on the channel for you. You can remain anonymous if you like. Brian, enough from me. Great having you on, man.
Yeah, thanks again, Jeff, and looking forward to the next one.